Am I the a-hole for choosing my sister over my mom to get custody of my son after I pass away in 3 weeks? I am a 30 female, single parent, husband passed away in 2022, and I have a son who is 4 years old. I've been battling with a heart disease for over a year and unfortunately, it has gotten pretty worse over the last few months. I've been through surgeries and medications and nothing seemed to help. It's now terminal. A few weeks ago, my doctor told me I had 6 weeks left. I'm still terrified. I'm also really worried about my son and who gets custody of him after I pass away. The closest family members I have are my sister, 28 female, and my mom, 58 female. I had to choose between both of them. My sister just got done with college. She just started at a new job, so she isn't financially stable yet, but she's a really kind person. My mom, on the other hand, got remarried in 2018 and is more financially stable, but we've been kinda distant since my dad passed away. I've talked to both of them about it and they were both pretty open to having custody of my son. My mom especially was interested. She and my stepdad actually talked about adoption last year since they have no kids of their own. But I want the best for my son. I didn't know much about my parents, mom and stepdad's lifestyle, so I thought we'd go visit them for a few days and decide if they're the kind of parents I would consider for my son. I told them my son and I would be coming over for a 4-day visit and they were pretty okay with it. During our visit, I found out that my stepdad was an alcoholic, and he and my mom argued a lot. My stepdad was a friendly guy, but he was a totally different person when drunk. Overall, I knew their home wasn't the kind of place I'd want my son to grow up in. Before we left, I told my mom that I'd prefer my sister to get custody of my son. My mom wasn't happy about it. She tried to get me to change my mind, but I stuck to my decision. My sister is a kind and upright person. She's still single, but I can trust her to make a good choice when she chooses to have a partner. So my son would be okay with her. I have a life insurance that'll support my son, so it'll ease off the financial burden. It's not much, but at least it can get my son through a couple of years before my sister becomes financially stable. I had to quit working 2 months ago because I had gotten really sick. Right now I'm just trying to make the best use of the time I have, spending as much time as I can with my son and creating memories. I want to mend my relationship with everyone. Unfortunately, my mom is holding a grudge against me. She's still unhappy that I chose my sister over her. I'll probably reach out to her and try to get her to understand. But I wonder if I'm wrong for choosing my sister to have custody of my son. Am I the a-hole?
I'm so sorry for what you're dealing with. You're not the a-hole. It's your responsibility to make sure your son will be in a safe place. It's also the choice which eases your mind. Your mother should took the time left to be there for you and lesser your burden, not creating new because she can't have her way. Don't feel sorry. Your kid deserves the best choice and your sister seems to be that. Also, she's young and could manage a young child while your mother will age sooner, and it can be a challenge to grow old while having a child to raise. Also, big no for having an alcoholic raising him. Take care of you and your son.
I totally agree. Thank you so much.
How your mom is acting towards you should solidify your choice of having your sister be your son's caretaker. What an incredibly awful and selfish reaction to her own daughter dealing with such a heartbreaking situation. I'm both horrified and disgusted. Can you imagine leaving your son with someone who would act this way? Do not waste another second trying to make your mother understand. Let her have her grudge. It should make it all the easier to use your precious time to create lasting memories with your son and your sister. I'm really, really sorry that you are faced with this unimaginable situation.
The mom is also losing her daughter. Her reaction sucks, but no one can know what she's feeling right now. Losing a child is very hard. OP, I'm sorry this is happening to you. Take lots of pictures, your son will want them.
Not the a-hole. You clearly made the best choice for your son. Your mom's feelings take a distant backseat to that. An alcoholic dad is not a good choice unless all other choices are worse, and that is not the case.
Exactly. The alcoholic part was my biggest worry. He is usually a friendly person but would turn really mean when drunk. I definitely don't want my son under that kind of guardian.
If he couldn't even manage to hold it together for a 4-day visit, imagine how much worse he'll be when he doesn't feel he's being watched. He is dangerous.
You're honestly doing the right thing. Don't second guess yourself. Being around any alcoholic would be bad, but a mean drunk equals emotional abuse. Also, your mother will be 75 when your son is 21, and since her husband is an alcoholic, he's likely to have developed serious health problems before then that she will be likely involved in caring for. That's not a good environment for a teenager.
Am I the a-hole for kicking my cousin out over Reddit post? I, 28 female, and my husband, 29 male, hosted my cousin, 23 female, at our place since last summer because she wanted to find a job at our city and we were the only ones she knew. We aren't close, but my parents begged me to let her stay. My husband has very little native blood. He doesn't know the language or culture, but we did name our newborn after his grandfather. Just his middle name, fake names, John, Jarjunjin, Harrison. Well, 5 months after our beautiful boy birth, I met up with an old colleague who showed me a screenshot of my boy's name on a subreddit specifically to make fun of uncommon or misspelled names. Though the post has been deleted, my colleague screenshot it because she thought it sounded familiar. In the comments she remarked, the OP has also made snickering comments on my child names, with people cheering her on. We dubbed a little further and I could confirm it was my cousin profile. From her interest to her pictures post. Me and my husband confronted her about it, and she said majority agreed with her that it was a stupid and horrendous name. She also said it didn't matter that it was a cultural name since my husband can't speak and isn't even involved in the culture. My husband was livid and we decided to kick her out. She has since blasted us on Facebook and family group chat to kick her out in a foreign city, and since she was jobless and we are setting our son up for failure with names like that. She also said she was doing us a favor by showing us how horrible of a name it was. However, I don't see that as the case as it was posted almost a year ago and she seems to have no intention to reveal to us otherwise. So I would like to know, am I really the a-hole? Edit, I saw the post the other subreddit. Like clarify the fake names was John and Harrison because it's very basic white names. Like Daniel will be able to replace it or Hemsworth. Jarjunjin is the actual name. There's actually quite a few of them here in my city. Mandui Jarjunjin Yunupingu, here's one famous singer with that same exact name for reference purpose. The reason why my husband is very distanced from his culture, would you guys like to take a guess what colonialism did to Australians' Aboriginals?
Putting aside being incredibly rude and your cousin biting the hand that feeds her, I think your family is missing a key point here. Your cousin is racist. She is making fun of a name from your husband's culture because it's different. That is so fricked up. It doesn't matter your husband doesn't have more cultural connections, especially considering why. My great-grandmother was Lakota Sioux. My great-grandfather was Holland Dutch and got disowned for marrying her. I find her and my great-grandfather's stories cool and interesting, but I know very little about Lakota Sioux culture. She didn't know much because she was taken from her family by missionaries as a child. That doesn't diminish fact that this is her culture. It was just stolen from her. Not the a-hole, obviously.
Exactly my take on the culture part. Even though my husband isn't connected to his culture, he is recognized. His name is in the local community center for Aboriginal descent and we get invited for Aboriginal festival. He also has an Aboriginal middle name, which he hardly uses professionally and never had a problem with it.
I wish you'd posted this when more Australians were awake. Not that our country isn't filled with racists, but at least we get the context.
Not the a-hole. Your cousin abused your hospitality by making fun of your son's middle name. There is no excuse for this. She effed around and found out the consequences. And she never did plan on telling you about the post. She was just looking for likes and followers for her profile.
Honesty OP should respond on how they kicked her out because she is a racist and mocking Aboriginal culture.
And based on the name, I'm assuming they're Aussie. Did she not know why many Aboriginal Australians don't know the language? Like she's young enough to have been educated in school on the stolen generation, for fuck's sake. Not the a-hole.
Not the a-hole. You graciously open your home to her because the family asked you to. And she takes the opportunity to drag you over social media about something that is none of her business. Instead of apologizing, she chose to double down on disrespecting you in your home. My family hated me my entire life, and I've never been disrespectful to them at any point. I don't understand people that take their families for granted. It's disgusting. I'm sorry you and your husband are dealing with this. Ignore her, and anybody that agrees with her.
What do you think of these stories? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel to see more interesting videos.